When my mom found out I was earning six figures, her tone changed overnight. The same woman who used to call me a failure was suddenly telling me how much I owed her for raising me. It started small. She hinted that I should help with bills or show gratitude. But then came the message that made my blood boil. "You're making good money now. Send me $4,500 a month from now on. Family takes care of family." I remember staring at the text, heart pounding. $4,500? That was more than my rent, my car, and my student loans combined. But I didn't explode. Not yet. Because I realized, if she wanted to play manipulation games, I could play better. And I was about to teach her a lesson she'd never forget. Growing up, my mom wasn't exactly nurturing. My dad left when I was 12, and she reminded me daily that I was the reason he walked out. If I brought home a B, she'd say, "That's why you'll never be successful." When I got into college, she refused to help financially, saying, "If you want it, pay for it yourself." So I did. I worked nights, took out loans, skipped meals, and eventually landed a job in software development. Years later, I was making six figures at 28. For the first time, I was proud. But instead of being happy for me, Mom turned cold, then demanding. She started comparing me to my cousins, saying I had a duty to repay her sacrifices. And when I sent her a small gift, a $300 smartwatch, she laughed and said, "You think this makes up for 28 years of parenting?" That's when I knew. She didn't see me as her son anymore. I was her personal ATM. The $4,500 demand came 2 weeks later. She texted me a detailed budget: rent, food, salon, miscellaneous needs. It totaled $4,500 exactly. I called her immediately. "Mom, are you serious?" "Of course, you're making good money. You owe me stability. Do you know how much I spent raising you?" Her voice was cold, rehearsed even. That night, I couldn't sleep. It wasn't about the money, it was about control. She didn't ask, she commanded. And deep down I knew, if I gave in now, I'd never have peace. So I decided to play along, for now. I told her I'd think about it. And then, I built a plan. I started by sending her a small test payment of $500. She was thrilled. She called me 3 times that day, all sweet and affectionate, the same voice I hadn't heard since childhood. She said things like, "You're such a good son," and "I always knew you'd be successful." I almost laughed, because that's when I realized something chilling. My mother's love had a price tag, so I decided to raise the stakes. I told her I'd start sending monthly support, but there'd be a delay, since my company needed proof of relationship for tax purposes. And here's where my plan began to unfold. I asked her to fill out a few documents, fake ones I created to look like IRS dependency forms. I told her it was to declare her as a dependent, so I could legally send her money tax-free. She fell for it instantly. For the next few days, she kept calling, asking, "Did you get the forms yet?" I said, "Almost, but the IRS needs income proof. Your last 3 years of tax returns." She hesitated, then said, "I don't have those." Turns out she hadn't filed taxes in years. I told her gently, "That's a big issue, Mom. The IRS might flag you." Suddenly, she panicked. She begged me to handle it, said she'd pay me back. I said, "No worries, I'll contact them for you." Then I emailed her a link to the actual IRS site, explaining how to file back taxes. She went silent. 2 days later, she called me screaming that she got a letter from the IRS after submitting her info online. Apparently, she owed thousands in unpaid taxes. And just like that, her greedy plan backfired. She stopped asking for money. In fact, she begged me to stay out of it and never mention the IRS again. I never said a word. I just smiled, sent her one last message. "Mom, next time you try to guilt trip someone, remember, greed always collects its interest." It's been over a year since that happened. We barely talk now. Sometimes I miss the idea of a mother who was proud of me, but that's not who she is. She's the kind of person who sees love as currency. And I finally learned that real family isn't about blood. It's about boundaries. If you have ever dealt with manipulation or guilt from someone who is supposed to love you, remember this. You don't owe them your peace just because you share DNA. Have you ever had someone guilt trip you just because you became successful? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear your story. And if you believe karma always finds its way back, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this story. Because sometimes revenge isn't about destruction, it's about liberation.